I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. There were no injuries reported after a fire truck hit a utility pole in Provincetown this morning at around 11 o'clock. The crash happened on Harry Kemp Way by Outer Cape Health Services. The fire truck was returning from a medical emergency when the crash occurred. Eversource was called to repair the damage. Harry Kemp Way was likely to be closed for an extended period. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. Outer Cape Health Services closed that location for the rest of the day due to the electrical issues. Sandwich Director of Community Services Guy Boucher says the town has received $115,000 in opioid settlement fund grants. Boucher spoke on this weekend's Sunday Journal about how the money is going into addiction and outreach resources.
What came out of our public engagements, prevention, education, harm reduction, transportation, and housing were kind of the big areas of focus. Those are the areas we're really trying to focus on, either within town or with our partners.
Barnstable is considering regulation changes that would clamp down on the sale of tobacco products, with youth use on the rise. The changes target self-rolling products and flavor enhancers, as well as pop-up locations. The changes would disallow permits for repeat offenders of selling products to those under 21 or attempting to set up within 500 feet of elementary or secondary schools. A public hearing to go over the regulations is scheduled at Barnstable Town Hall on February 24th. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. The National Weather Service has placed Cape Cod and the islands under a winter storm watch from late Saturday night through late Sunday night. Heavy snow is possible, totaling accumulations of between 4 to 7 inches, according to the Weather Service watch. Winds could gust as high as 50 miles per hour. Travel could be very difficult, and gusty winds could bring down tree branches. The U.S. Coast Guard Northeast District is conducting a search and rescue response following an emergency position indicating radio beacon activation from a fishing vessel 25 miles off the coast of Cape Ann this morning. The 72-foot fishing vessel bore the name Lily Jean. The total number of people on board is unknown. The alert was received at around 7 a.m. The Coast Guard attempted to contact the vessel with no response and issued an urgent marine information broadcast. A helicopter crew from Air Station Cape Cod was launched for the search. The rescue crews located a debris field in the vicinity of the beacon activation. One unresponsive body was recovered from the water. A life raft associated with the vessel was found, but unoccupied. A car struck the Duncan on Lower Road in Brewster this morning at around 9:30. The driver was evaluated by EMTs. A building inspector was called to check the extent of damage. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. Authorities have identified the pilot who died in the fiery plane crash at the Provincetown Airport on Sunday. The Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office says the victim was 30-year-old Christopher Burrows. He was from Attleboro, Mass. Flight data shows the Cessna departed Taunton Municipal Airport, flew close to Herring Cove Beach, then appeared to loop around to Marshfield before circling back and attempting to land at Provincetown Airport. Authorities are still investigating. With flu season in full swing, the CDC has reduced its recommended routine for childhood vaccines, a move being criticized by Governor Maura Healey. Healey and state health officials say they continue to recommend vaccines despite the CDC's reduced immunization schedule for influenza, COVID-19, and more. In recent months, the Commonwealth has expanded independent standards for vaccine recommendations. The Barnstable Zoning Board of Appeals has scheduled a meeting to discuss the expansion of an affordable housing development in Centerville next Wednesday. The updated application for the Homes of Centerville Cove at the corner of Route 28 and Finney's Lane would include a lot with access to Richardson Road and add one single-family home to the total count. In full, the project would cover about 6.5 acres and would consist of 20 three-bedroom single-site family homes in addition to an apartment with 36 2- and 3-bedroom units. The applicant, Great Marsh Development LLC, will be on site to pitch the updated project. The meeting will be held in person, and it will also be available online. Firefighters responded to an alarm activation at the Margaritaville Resort in Hyannis last night, discovering a major water leak which caused significant damage. Officials reported a partial roof collapse in one section of the hotel from the water flow, which apparently originated with the building's sprinkler system. No injuries were reported. Guests in that section of the hotel were evacuated. The bird flu has been detected on Martha's Vineyard. State agriculture officials said they safely disposed of a backyard flock of infected chickens yesterday. The state is advising all poultry owners to practice strong safety measures so as not to spread the disease to wild birds. Raptors, waterfowl, and other aquatic birds are most at risk for infection, although any bird species should be considered susceptible to the disease. Officials note that while seasonal influenza is on the rise, it's different from avian influenza, which rarely infects humans. The New England Patriots have returned to the NFL playoffs for the first time in 4 years. The Pats will play the Los Angeles Chargers at Gillette Stadium on Sunday. Kickoff is at 8 p.m. New England won their division this season, finishing with a record of 14-3. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. Partly cloudy skies tonight, low temperatures in the mid-30s. Thursday, sunny with highs in the lower 40s, northwest winds gusting up to 20 miles per hour. Mostly clear Thursday night, lows lower 30s. Partly sunny Friday, highs in the mid-40s. Rain is forecast Friday night through Sunday. Temps ranging in the 40s until plunging back below freezing Sunday night. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. A winter storm dropped up to a half foot of snow on Cape Cod Sunday into Monday. The National Weather Service reported a top total from Barnstable County of 6.6 inches in Sandwich. Cape Cod suffered power outages from this storm due to falling tree limbs. Eversource outages numbered in the thousands. The Eastham Select Board has announced the appointment of Richard Bienvenu as the next town manager. The Select Board says the appointment comes after an extensive review period that included interviews with town staff, community members, and stakeholders to identify the leadership qualities and experience most needed to guide Eastham into its next chapter. Bienvenu has served as assistant town manager and finance director for the past 5 years. He'll officially assume the role of town manager in June. A car reportedly struck the Barnstable County Sheriff's Department's sign at the Orleans Rotary and then burst into flames on Friday night. The driver was able to get out and was evaluated. Police are investigating the crash. A car reportedly struck a house in Sandwich also on Friday night. The incident happened on Woodridge Road. No serious injuries were reported. National Grid was called to check a possible gas leak, and a building inspector checked the extent of damage. The Yarmouth, Dennis, and Greater Hyannis Chambers of Commerce are inviting the Mid-Cape business community to take part in a workshop explaining the intricacies of the J1 visa program ahead of the summer season. The free event will be held tomorrow at Thurwood Place in South Yarmouth from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. Here's what's happening. A winter storm dropped up to a half foot of snow on Cape Cod Sunday into Monday. The National Weather Service reported a top total from Barnstable County of 6.6 inches in Sandwich. Over 4 feet of snow was also measured across the upper and mid-Cape and on Martha's Vineyard. Cape Cod suffered power outages from this storm due to falling tree limbs. Eversource outages numbered in the thousands. A traffic crash on Queen Anne Road in Harwich also contributed to the problem. The snowstorm caused several other crashes, including one with a Sandwich police cruiser last night at around 6 o'clock. The officer was apparently uninjured. Firefighters were called to the Highline Ferry Dock on Ocean Street in Hyannis Sunday night. A fire reportedly broke out on the upper deck of the high-speed Grey Lady 4. Crew members were able to get the fire under control, and the ferry docked and safely evacuated all passengers. Fire officials believe an HVAC motor overheated. The Massachusetts Senate has unanimously passed a tax bill filed by Provincetown State Senator Julian Sear to expand property tax relief options for veterans through expanded access to work-off programs. The bill provides increased flexibility for cities and towns to offer municipal service options for veterans who have been hard hit by rising property taxes. The Eastham Select Board has announced the appointment of Richard Bienvenu as the next town manager. Bienvenu has served as assistant town manager and finance director for the past 5 years. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. Here's what's happening. The National Weather Service is forecasting 1 to 2 inches of snow for Cape Cod and the islands tonight into tomorrow morning. The storm system will bring up to 1 foot of snow in other parts of New England. Drier conditions are expected later Saturday into Sunday. Another system may bring a threat of freezing rain Sunday night into Monday morning. Additional information will be provided by the Weather Service as forecast confidence increases. The developers of an offshore wind project in Virginia are asking a federal judge to block a Trump administration order that halted construction of their project, along with 4 others. That group includes Vineyard Wind in Massachusetts, over national security concerns. Dominion Energy said in its lawsuit filed Tuesday that the government's order is arbitrary and unconstitutional. The company is developing coastal Virginia offshore wind, a project it says is essential to meet dramatically growing energy needs driven by dozens of new data centers. A hearing is scheduled for 2 p.m. Monday on Dominion's request for a temporary restraining order. A vehicle crashed into a building in Yarmouth Thursday night. A Mass State Police trooper on routine patrol came upon the scene on Route 28 at Cottage Street and called it into Yarmouth Police and Fire. No serious injuries were reported, but there was extensive damage to the structure. Police are investigating. Falmouth police are investigating a reported accidental shooting in their town about 8:45 p.m. Thursday. Officials responded to a residence off Blacksmith Shop Road. The victim was transported to Falmouth Hospital with injuries that were not life-threatening. Residents have until January 5th to comment on the environmental review for the Cape Cod Canal Bridges Replacement Project. This is part of the next permitting phase as the state prepares to take the first 4 eminent domain properties next month. In total, 14 residences, 1 business, and several empty lots are expected to be transferred for the project. 2025 has been a year of change for Cape Cod as it tackles affordable housing, water quality issues, and more. Barnstable County Commissioner Mark Forrest joins Sunday Journal to talk about the biggest changes, what's next for the Cape Cod Canal Bridges Replacement Project.
That permitting process is going smoothly. I think one of the reasons why I'm excited that I'm pleased that the state is taking the lead on this, even though these are federal bridges owned by and managed by the Army Corps of Engineers, the state is just much more nimble in terms of moving a project of this magnitude through the permitting process.
In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe for Cape Classical 107.5. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. A vehicle that allegedly failed to stop for Mashpee police crashed about 9 o'clock this morning. The crash happened on Jobs Fishing Road off Nathan Ellis Highway. The vehicle reportedly struck a ground power transformer, forcing officials to call for a power cut before extricating the driver from the wreckage. The victim was taken to Cape Cod Hospital with unknown injuries. Power issues were reported in the area. The Plymouth Fire Department battled a structure fire on Christmas Eve. Firefighters were dispatched to South Meadow Road for a report of a fire outside the attached garage that spread to the structure. Firefighters were able to knock the fire down in minutes, preventing major damage to the home. The residents made arrangements to stay with family in the area. However, the quick actions of firefighters Wednesday night ensured that the home was not destroyed. No injuries were reported, and officials say the fire did not appear suspicious. Steamship Authority Board of Governors member James Malkin, the representative of Martha's Vineyard, is not seeking another term. Malkin, a former member of the Chilmark Select Board, has withdrawn his candidacy for a 3rd term. Malkin is the Steamship Authority Governing Board Chair. In light of the announcement, Dukes County is extending the deadline to apply to the board until January 9th. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. Snow falling tonight and Saturday morning up to 3 inches. Low temperatures in the mid-20s tonight. Saturday high temps around freezing. Mostly clear conditions Saturday night. Lows in the lower 20s. Mostly sunny on Sunday. Highs in the upper 30s. Rain Sunday night and Monday. Lows around freezing. Highs in the upper 40s. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. Gusty winds caused tree limbs to fall this morning, creating scattered power outages on Cape Cod. Eversource responded to working outages in Osterville and Mashpee. Old Jail Lane in Barnstable was closed due to a falling tree limb down with wires across the road. As of 3 p.m., Eversource reported over 1,300 outages in Sandwich and over 100 in Falmouth. Cape Cod saw ocean effect snow today, especially on the outer Cape. Motorists headed to Christmas gatherings are being urged to slow down and allow extra time to reach destinations. The National Weather Service says there are 2 potential shots of winter weather being tracked in the forecast for New England this upcoming weekend. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health has confirmed that an out-of-state adult visitor who spent time in Boston and Westboro earlier this month was diagnosed with the measles, which could have resulted in other people being exposed to the virus. The DPH is working with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and local partners to identify and notify those who may have been exposed. Officials say measles is a highly contagious airborne disease, which has increased significantly in the United States because of a decrease in vaccination rates. No Massachusetts residents have caught the measles this year, according to the state. 2025 saw the highest number of nationwide cases in over a decade. Representatives of the Cape Cod Gateway Airport are preparing to host a meeting offering the community a comprehensive status update on efforts to reduce PFAS contamination at the airport site. This is happening on January 14th. The meeting will take place at Barnstable Town Hall. According to airport reps, the airport is currently in Phase 5, the final stage of cleanup, in keeping with the mandates of the state DEP's contingency and public involvement plans. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe for Cape Classical 107.5. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. The governors of Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, and Rhode Island have released a joint statement related to the Trump administration's latest freeze on offshore wind projects, including Vineyard Wind. They said the Trump administration's announcement earlier this week, pausing offshore wind leases, is its latest egregious attack on clean energy. The statement read, quote, "Pausing active leases, especially for completed and nearly completed projects, will hurt our bid for energy independence, drive up costs for American ratepayers, and will make us lose thousands of good-paying jobs. It also threatens grid reliability that is needed to keep the lights on." A federal judge earlier this month ruled the Trump administration cannot simply halt the federal approvals of offshore wind permits arbitrarily. "We are committed as governors to again fight back to ensure these projects move forward." The stop work order is in effect for at least 90 days, but the governors have lettered the Interior Secretary to unpause immediately. The town of Nantucket will begin accepting claims on January 26th through the Community Claims Fund established under the town's settlement with GE Vernova regarding last summer's Vineyard Wind turbine blade failure. The fund is intended to reimburse eligible individuals and business owners for documented expenses and economic losses. The claims submission period will be open for 6 months. Additional details and instructions will be available on the town's website next month. A single vehicle crashed into the woods on Route 6 eastbound in Dennis this afternoon at around 2 o'clock. The driver was not injured. Around 3 o'clock, 3 vehicles collided on 6 West in Harwich. 2 people were transported to Cape Cod Hospital. Mass State Police are investigating both crashes, which caused delays for motorists. Last night, Hyannis firefighters responded to a kitchen fire at the Barnstable housing complex on Old Colony Road. Crews found an apartment filled with smoke and ventilated it. The building was evacuated, but officials said the fire was out on their arrival. There were no injuries reported. Meanwhile, Falmouth Fire and Rescue had a structure fire at the retail plaza located at 1184 Sandwich Road. A Dunkin' manager reported smoke and a burning odor in the store. The smoke was determined to be caused by a malfunctioning oven. There was no damage to the building, and the store will reopen soon. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. Mostly cloudy tonight with a chance of snow, low temperatures in the upper 20s, north winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Christmas Day, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain in the morning, high temps in the lower 40s, breezy. Cloudy Thursday night, lows in the upper teens. Breezy conditions continue Friday, more clouds with highs in the upper 20s. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. The Falmouth Select Board is inviting the public to participate in a conversation about the impacts of immigration enforcement actions on the community. Attendees will hear personal accounts from individuals representing a variety of perspectives, including local business, schools, law enforcement, immigration legal defense, and impacted family members. The event will include small group discussions and light refreshments will be served. This is taking place at the Falmouth Senior Center, 780 Main Street, Thursday, January 22nd. The event is scheduled from 6 to 7:30 p.m. John Forte, the Grammy-nominated musician known for his work with the Fugees, has died at age 50. Forte was found dead on Monday afternoon in his home in Chilmark, according to police. Chilmark Police Chief Sean Slavin said there were no signs of foul play or an apparent cause of death. The state medical examiner's office is investigating. Cape Cod Healthcare is hosting a community blood drive at Thurwood Place in South Yarmouth next Wednesday. The blood drive is scheduled from 9:40 a.m. to 4 p.m. The retirement community is located at 237 North Main Street. To register, visit CapeCod-dot.com and click on Ways to Give. The town of Barnstable has announced a new domain name for its website, barnstable.gov. Officials say the new name will be more efficient for people looking to access the town's website. The domain name townofbarnstable.us will now automatically redirect to barnstable.gov. State officials have announced that Nantucket has moved into a state of critical drought, while Cape Cod remains in a state of significant drought. Residents and businesses on the Cape and Nantucket are being advised to reduce water use where possible. Barnstable High School is scheduled to receive a visit from Elementary and Secondary School Commissioner Pedro Martinez on Friday morning. The visit will include a tour of the campus and a roundtable with students, families, and faculty. It will be Commissioner Martinez's first visit to a Cape Cod school. Governor Maura Healey's administration has announced that Mass Wildlife is hosting public listening sessions on several opportunities to expand hunting access in the state. The state is seeking public input on the topics of Sunday hunting, hunting with crossbows, and minimum setback distance. Currently, Massachusetts has restrictions on all of the above. The listening sessions come after Healey's administration recently announced an expansion of deer hunting seasons on Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket to address issues including a growing tick population. One of the sessions will be at the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, Admirals Hall, 101 Academy Drive in Bourne, February 2nd at 6 p.m. Governor Maura Healey's administration has awarded over $2 million for salt marsh restoration and monitoring projects in coastal areas, including several on Cape Cod, in Eastham, Dennis, and Falmouth, as well as Buzzards Bay. Officials say salt marshes protect communities from flooding, prevent damage from storms and rising seas, serve as habitat for fisheries and wildlife, and absorb carbon that would otherwise contribute to climate change. The historic Coast Guard boathouse in Chatham is getting repaired. Voters at a town meeting in 2024 approved a $4 million waterfront project, which included a new shellfish upweller and the rehabilitation of the historic Stage Harbor Coast Guard boathouse, which served as the home of the famous boat CG-36-500. That vessel was known for rescuing the crew of the SS Pendleton in 1952, which later became a Disney movie. The boathouse left Stage Harbor in 2009 by barge for Quincy and was eventually relocated to Hull. When it was put up for auction in 2020, a preservation group arranged to have the boathouse moved back to Quincy for temporary storage until a future use could be determined. In 2021, Chatham's Select Board accepted a donation of the boathouse to use for the new upweller at 90 Bridge Street. The Orleans Historical Society says the boat itself, CG-36-500, berths in the summer at Rock Harbor in Orleans. It was taken out of service in 1968 and has served as a museum. The Steamship Authority is preparing for 2026 summer reservation openings. There will be 2 general online openings, one for Nantucket and one for Martha's Vineyard. For Nantucket, the period begins on January 27th. For the Vineyard, the start is February 3rd. Housing Assistance is holding an info session for 3 apartments in Harwich. The new units are located at 5 Bells Neck Road in the historic West Harwich Schoolhouse, which was originally built in 1871 and converted into apartments last year. They will be available through a lottery for qualified applicants. The virtual info session is being held January 29th at 5:30 p.m. To learn more, visit HAC on CapeCod.org. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe for Cape Classical 107.5. Mostly cloudy skies today, high temperatures in the lower 50s. Southwest winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Chances for rain tonight and Thursday. Lows upper 30s, highs lower 40s. Thursday night, partly cloudy, lows in the upper teens. Friday, sunny and breezy, highs in the mid-30s. Saturday, chance of rain. Sunday, chance of rain and snow. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. The National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for Cape Cod and the islands from 7 o'clock tonight until 1 p.m. Thursday. Snow is expected, totaling accumulations of 2 to 4 inches. Drivers should plan on slippery road conditions, especially Thursday morning, as the heaviest snowfall is expected overnight. The Provincetown Police Department says Operation Safe Ride is now in its 14th year of providing free and sober rides home on New Year's Eve. It starts at 10 o'clock tonight and lasts until 4 a.m. Thursday. This outreach service is designed specifically to limit impaired drivers on roadways. Anyone who needs a safe and sober ride home on New Year's Eve, from a licensed liquor establishment to a residence in the towns of Provincetown, Truro, Wellfleet, and Eastham, can simply call the designated community partnership taxi company. For a destination in P-Town, call Pride Taxi at 508-487-3400. And for the 3 other towns, you can call Cape Cab at 487-2222. Provincetown is holding its first ever New Year's Eve drone show over Provincetown Harbor tonight. The show will start at 6 o'clock and will last for about 15 minutes. The best spot for viewing will be the McMillan Pier parking lot and Ryder Street Beach area. The Provincetown Facebook page will post updates in the event of inclement weather. 40,000 oysters, lobster worth $400,000, and a cache of crab meat were all stolen in separate recent incidents in New England. The first seafood heist took place November 22nd in Falmouth, Maine, where authorities suspect someone stole 14 cages full of oysters from an aquaculture site in Casco Bay. Many of the oysters were full-grown and ready for sale, and together with the cages were worth $20,000, according to the Maine Marine Patrol. The other 2 thefts happened in Taunton, Massachusetts. First, a load of crab disappeared after leaving the Lineage Logistics warehouse on December 2nd. Then on December 12th, according to a broker, lobster meat destined for Costco stores in Illinois and Minnesota were stolen by a fraudulent trucking company. Officials say these types of thefts ultimately harm consumers. Environmental journalist Tatiana Schlossberg, one of 3 grandchildren of the late President John F. Kennedy, has died after she was diagnosed with leukemia last year. She was 35. Schlossberg, daughter of JFK's daughter Caroline Kennedy and Edwin Schlossberg, revealed she had terminal cancer in a November 2025 essay in The New Yorker. A family statement disclosing her death was posted on social media Tuesday by the John F. Kennedy Library Foundation. Schlossberg criticized policies pushed by her mother's cousin, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., saying policies he backed could hurt cancer patients like her. Her mother had urged senators to reject his confirmation. Several homes in Eastham are in danger because of erosion. According to Realtor.com, a property at 153 Brownell Road sold for a bargain price of $100,000. It sits on an eroding cliff above the Atlantic Ocean at Nauset Light Beach. The listing agent said nearly 60 feet of land separating the house from the edge of the bluff disappeared into the water in the 5 years since it was last sold. Barring any major weather issues, he said the buyer should have around 8 years to enjoy the home. A neighboring property at 157 Brownell Road is also up for sale at a steep discount. The owner there is facing pressure from Eastham and the Cape Cod National Seashore to take action to prevent the structure from endangering the public, with officials pointing specifically to the property's septic system and leaching field. Select Energy has announced it is partnering with the town of Falmouth on new solar carports at Falmouth High School and North Falmouth Elementary. Select says the projects will deliver clean energy and long-term savings at no capital cost to the town. Officials say the solar project will generate millions in savings and cover a significant percentage of the school's electricity. The company added that these projects advance Falmouth's green communities and climate action goals, lowering costs and emissions for years to come. Hopkinton, Mass-based Select also has a power purchase agreement with Upper Cape Cod Technical School in Bourne. The solar canopy there generates over 600 kilowatts. Select says it shares a portion of the produced energy with the Bourne Recreational Authority during Upper Cape Tech's relatively slow summer months. Gas prices have fallen below the $3 average in Massachusetts. AAA reports the current average price in Mass is $2.96. The national average is $2.84. AAA says this holiday season is delivering cheaper gas prices, even as travelers hit the road in record numbers. This is the cheapest December at the pump in 5 years. Crude oil prices remain low, and despite an increase in gasoline demand over the holidays, supply is strong. Overall, AAA says 2025 has been a stable year for the national average, with few fluctuations and no sharp spikes. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe for Cape Classical 107.5. Partly sunny skies today, high temperatures in the lower 30s. West winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour. Snow tonight up to 4 inches. Lows in the upper 20s. Snow ending in the morning on New Year's Day. Highs in the mid-30s, breezy. Thursday night, mostly clear. Lows in the teens. Mostly sunny Friday, a high temp of around 30 degrees. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe. I'm Jim McCabe. Here's what's happening. Officials are once again sounding the alarm after a person fell through the ice after reportedly trying to retrieve a dog in Barnstable. Rescuers were called to Hathaway's Pond at around 9 a.m. New Year's Eve. The person and the dog were out of the water when they arrived. A total of 3 people were evaluated for possible hypothermia but declined to go to the hospital. Authorities are warning people despite the cold snap, the ice is not safe, and to call 911 if a pet ventures on the ice. Fire departments have the proper training and equipment to safely retrieve them. The Bourne Police Department has issued a public notice about individuals forcefully kicking the door of a residence with their foot and then running away, which is apparently connected to a nationwide trend circulating on social media. The Bourne PD says since November they have responded to at least 5 different calls related to the trend. In at least one instance, the door was forcefully opened because of the action. The police department says, aside from the criminal charges that can result, unnecessarily scaring an individual in their home for social media fame can have serious unintended consequences when those present believe their home is being broken into. Cape Cod towns have gained the state's new seasonal communities designation. The label allows towns with over 1/3 of their housing being seasonal rentals to qualify for financial aid. Bourne, Falmouth, Mashpee, and Sandwich, as well as Barnstable and Yarmouth, have joined the list. Tools for towns include deed restrictions, housing preference for municipal workers, and creating a year-round housing trust fund. In the CapeCod.com NewsCenter, I'm Jim McCabe for Ocean 104.7. I'm Jim McCabe for Cape Classical 107.5.